Welcome to Digital Asset News Clips, where we take advancements in cryptocurrency and digital assets and break them down to bite-sized pieces. So today, we're going to continue on as we take a look into the Cardano ecosystem and the things that are being built on Cardano. Like I've said before, just in the same way that Ethereum really just had a massive run in 2017 with everything being built on it for all the ICOs. Then we had Binance Chain, everything being built on it, and decentralized exchanges and the swaps and everything else. I think now is Cardano's time to really take off with the advent of smart contracts, which are coming in August with the Alonzo release. So all the things that are being built on it, I find fascinating to see what could be the next big thing. And one of the things we want to take a look at today is Charlie. And Charlie, it is an oracle for the Cardano network. So first of all, just as the basic nuts and bolts of what an oracle is, blockchains are within their own little ecosystem. It's very hard for them to pull outside data. How do you pull any kind of financial pricing? How do you pull, and people talk about this all the time, weather or temperature or any type of like data that we can get, quite easily just looking at Google and those types of things. The problem is that we can get this information, but it's hard to pull that in. And then here's another thing. If you're doing anything with like decentralized finance, what if one of those, that one central point has a point of failure and you're getting the price information that is totally incorrect and you get your rug pulled and everything else? So the point of this is to have multiple areas that you can pull the information into from, and you need to pull this outside data into these blockchains, such as Cardano, with an oracle. And this is where Charlie comes in. So Charlie, the website is charli3.io. I will list that in the description below. But here's essentially what it is. And I think when people think about oracle, they think of really chainlink or maybe even band. And this is just another. This is an oracle, but solely based and built on the Cardano network. So what's going on here? So we can take a look at the white paper, but real quick, how Charlie works is just pulls data from API. So like if you have something from like Huobi or KuCoin or any kind of exchange, and it needs to pull that data in, and we want to take a look at like data that we need for like decentralized finance, a compound, a synthetics, a DAO, we need to find this information and we need to pull it into this specific blockchain order project, and that's where Charlie comes in. So here's the features. Ensured node consensus. And we're going to talk to one of the guys over at Charlie in a little bit as we do a quick interview. Aggressive node reputations, trustless data feed network, and I'm assuming we're looking at multiple points, so we don't just have one point of failure. And easily accessible for Cardano-based projects. That's the big key, Cardano-based projects. So the Cardano ecosystem at your fingertips. As a wave of projects launch on ADA, Charlie will help you connect to their information accurately. And this is just one of those ecosystem nice little graphics. As time moves on, because right now it is May 26th or 25th, 2021, we haven't even launched smart contracts on Cardano, but things are really gearing up. So I expect Charlie to be at the epicenter of what makes everything work in the Cardano ecosystem. That's why I'm excited to talk about it. And this is just the very base layer. And moving forward, the big thing, there's actually two big things. The tokenomics, and then if we have to take a look at the integration. So we'll take a look at the tokenomics first. First of all, this is the total supply. It's only 100 million tokens, 100 million. So if you think about it, that sounds like a lot, right? But think of like Bitcoin and how much it went up, and it only has 21 million, and we only have 18.5 million out there. Went up pretty fast, right? And there's other different projects that have like billions and billions, XRP being one of those, and other ones just having like trillions. If you look like a Shiba Inu or Dogecoin, if you're into those type of things. I am personally not. So 100 million doesn't seem like quite a bit. And this is how everything's being broken down. So for the seed round, 18% went out, private 13%, public is 6%. For liquidity providers or farming, 31%, liquidity 3%, dev pool, reserves, and team. The real question is, and I knew we're going to ask this question is, for all these different projects, how much are actually being locked up in a locked up period? So that'll be a question definitely to ask. And then to continue on before we move on, the roadmap is pretty simply laid out. We're already in quarter two. We're in, like I said, May, coming up into quarter three. So they launched. They had a initial DEX offering marketing. They distributed the ERC20 tokens, set up off-chain code, and reviewed the ADA testnet. And this is where it gets interesting. In Q3, which is coming up in July, August, September, when they migrate to Cardano. So this is where the rubber meets the road. And this is why I'm excited about Cardano and how things are moving forward. Again, I think for all these projects, they're going to need some type of oracle to pull this outside data into the blockchain and then go from there. And then Q4, they're going to try to solidify, probably do some more marketing, expand technical capabilities as they grow and start to scale. So interesting stuff. We'll see how it all goes on. And then you got the team. If you've been on the channel any length of time, there's a couple things to talk about, which is for every project that you look at, make sure it's got really two things. And that is, does it actually solve a problem and has utility and actually things are actually being done? Or does it does absolutely nothing and just like another Me Too project? On top of that, what is the team and how strong are they? And I'll let the guys over at Charlie explain that. But we got our Chief Operating Officer, Robert Heber, Jonas Lindgren, the CTO, and Damon, who we're going to talk about in a bit, is the marketing officer. So we'll go from there. So from this, the big thing to me, and you're probably asking yourself, is, well, how does this 100 million compare to like another oracle? So let's just start off with that, and then we'll get into integrations. So right now, Charlie isn't even ranked. Okay, it's $2. It's $2 at 100 million. That's crazy, first of all. And of course, as it launches, it's only been out for a couple of weeks now. Of course, when it launches, everything in crypto starts off high and just takes a little bit slam down forward, right? So it was, what, $1.90 and dropped down to a whopping $1.72. And remember these prices if you're watching this in a year from now. This is going to be funny. And then you hit a peak at 213, and now we are down to $1.86. So we'll take those numbers. 100 million circulating supply, 100 million max supply. Now let's take a look at another oracle called Chainlink. So Chainlink right now is $30, and its max supply is 1 billion. And we've seen a lot of price action here. Over a year, it's gone up almost 700%. If we can take a look at, let's take a look at max. Same type of thing, 48 cents, jumped up to around $2, $1.84, $1.73. Little sideways action, and then up we go. And then, of course, we had the big crash, which we're reversing right now. So if we just take a look at just the economics of it, looks pretty good. Now, we'll take a look at the integrations. Charlie is collaborating with Fractal. It's a KYC AML platform to provide real on-chain price data for tokens in their wallet. I think this will be big, especially for, well, KYC, AML, digital ID, especially with what the vision that IOHK has in Africa. So that would be big for there. Here is the COO, Robert Heber. He works directly with Y Combinator startups, top 10 US banks, he worked alongside the former CTO, the Chief Technical Officer of YouTube, and the AI tech advisor to the Obama administration, which was President Obama here in the United States. And then more integrations, integrate with DEX tools, a DeFi hub of Ethereum and BSC to create a new standard for digital asset management. It will aggregate price data from DEX tools data feed, and then also with Parsec. And this is a solution consisting of tools for analyzing blockchain data, real-time blockchain monitoring, and Coin98. And the big one, what I see, is Charlie with CardStarter. And that is initial DEX offering platform. And as I say it here, it's a gateway, one of the best ways to ensure a smooth and hassle-free launch. And we also saw that with PolkaStarter over on the Polkadot network. Again, every one of these ecosystems has their time. And I think that Cardano is just coming into its own. So those are the big things. And then there's a buying guide here if you want to go through Uniswap. I personally hate Uniswap because the prices are so ridiculous. But what's cool about this, and you can find that on the website itself, it says buying guide. It'll take you right to this itself. And it'll tell you this is the official contract address, because people going to Uniswap, they're putting in like Charlie, are in the past people were putting on like the same type of token I think it was, and they got rug pulled. It was the exact opposite. So just use the official contract address, put that into Uniswap, and find Charlie because that's really the big place it's at. Let me come back over on CoinGecko, just so you know, if you want to take a look at where you can buy all these different projects, if you click on trading pairs, there's usually like a huge amount of places. You'll have like the Coinbases, the Gate IOs, the Geminis, the whatevers. But in this one, as we click on it, there's only one place you can get it right now, Uniswap. And it's rare and it's new. And it's one of those things that maybe you can take a little bit look into. Again, on this channel, it's all about doing your own research. This is just financial opinion, not financial advice. Even though I hate Uniswap, I will be buying into Charlie probably today or tomorrow because I think it's a solid project. And the real question I have is, first of all, lockup periods, the team itself, and then just gets the team over there to answer this is the insured node consensus and aggressive node reputation. So let's do this. That is what Charlie is in a nutshell. Let's roll into the interview and get some questions answered and see what it's all about. All right, everybody. So we took a look at what Charlie actually is as far as the Oracle. And I wanted to get somebody in here just to kind of answer some questions because I need questions answered. We need questions answered. And thankfully, I got Damon Zwarich to come in. He is head of marketing over at Charlie. So Damon, thanks for coming on and just kind of explaining what the heck is going on with Charlie. So the first one I had, which was the most basic, because I have to ask these questions because with everything that's going on out there, there's so many different projects. Why did you guys decide to build on Cardano? Because you have so many choices to do these things. So why was it Cardano? What led you to it? What made you go, this is the one?
Yeah, well, I mean, first off, Rob, thanks for having me on. I think this is great to just finally get a face out to the public here and answer these questions because we've been wanting to do it for quite a while. Answering your first question there of how we chose to build on Cardano, well, personally, we think it's kind of a no-brainer, right? It's the innovative thing going forwards. It seems more stable. The code helps us, using the Haskell code helps us really get validity in our data providing to our consumers. And I think that's our main focus as an Oracle, is to make sure we have valid and concise data to provide to other spaces. The opportunity was there for sure. It's new. Like I mentioned before, we're building forwards. We're building towards something more innovative.
Yeah.
And we love the background and the vision of what Cardano is and what Charles is building out there, right? Something that has a lot more real world use case. We see the ability for us as an Oracle to even get into more real world use cases out there, like say in the medical sector. And we really want to bring that forwards, and also the academic approach of this, right? Our team is pretty academic in their background, and we really like the research and the peer-reviewed area of it to make sure it seems far more stable and again valid. I use that word a lot as we go forward because it gives that base and that consistency and confidence in innovating.
Well,
So yeah.
Perfect. So just like we talked about before, because we both come from medical backgrounds, so it's important to see that research. I mean, especially just in like if you take a look at medications, right? You have to go through a lot of peer research. The FDA has to take a lot of different tests and studies to actually go and say this is okay for the public. And I think when I first saw this on Cardano, I didn't understand it as an entrepreneur. But as I look back, as somebody who has to take a look at those things, medical wise, I'm like, oh, well, now it totally makes sense because we don't want a sushi swap, we don't want a burger swap, or whatever else kind of like parties out there. They got hacked, which is a real pain in the A. And then you said something about the language, and this is something that we talked off camera about the programming language itself, Plutus and Haskell, because you wear many hats. Not only are you marketing, but you're also taking a look for the next team member. Talk to us real quick about that programming language and how it's been a help and a hindrance as far as like finding those new team members.
Sure. That's great, actually. I think that honestly, every program that's building on Cardano right now or for Cardano is running into the same problem. So Haskell isn't exactly a very new code, but it's not a highly used code, right? And
Right.
so in that aspect, there aren't a lot of great people on it. We've been very fortunate to have our lead CTO, Jonas, who is decently well versed in Haskell code, but finding more devs to help us speed up our production and do everything right is a little bit different and difficult at the moment. But we're proving to be okay with it. We've been interviewing people all of last week and getting into our final rounds this week, which is very exciting. So we can finally ramp up our production, get something more public going on. And outside of that, we've been trying to look into the Plutus Pioneers program, which is being organized and everything by Cardano. And so there's a lot of people coming out of there. There's a lot of new graduates from actual academic institutions that are going through the Plutus Pioneers program. I think they're finishing up their first round right now. But these guys they're hot on the market, right? Everybody wants them. So
Yeah.
we're trying to get forwards there and try and grab one. And we have secured a few interviews with guys that are going through the program. So we're pretty excited for our development team going forward.
Yeah, and this is what I talked to my friend Hashoshi about because he's a developer, and because when I hear about Charles talking about future proofing, I'm like, well, quantum mechanics or quantum computing, excuse me, and then him going through all these things, and I'm like, well, how, what is going on? But then when you talk to me about the language, you're like, but you probably don't understand. It's because it's a lot of these newer guys that are coming out, they're the ones that actually are building on this language and understand the language. And just the older type of programmers are either picking up or they never really dealt with it before. So I kind of get where things are going. It's a little bit different, but I think I get it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of academic institutions right now will teach at least a module on Haskell code. So those newer people are a little bit easier to work with and start innovating. But we need the practical world experience too. So it's a nice balance of both.
Perfect. And then the second question I had was about the team itself. Now you got yourself, head of marketing. You got Robert Heber, and Jonas Lindgren, the CTO. So just real quick, we talked about Robert a little bit and his entrepreneurship and the things that he's done as far as building businesses, which I really do believe you need to have in every startup. I mean, you got to have somebody who knows the CTO side, the accounting side, the marketing side, business startup, but you got to have also a really strong CTO. So tell us real quick about Jonas.
So Jonas has been in the crypto space quite a long time, like longer than me and Rob for sure. He's been involved with other programs. He just had XBTC that he launched. He has development credits on a program or a project called Novapago. And he's still involved with both of those as well and finishing up operations, but focusing most of his experience on Charlie. He has a long background in academics as well, teaching computer science. So he used to be a professor for a while, and then he switched into cryptocurrency and investments.
Perfect. Sounds like you guys are under good hands in that department. So we got all those things. Let's talk real quick about the tokenomics because it looks like there's some exploration going on. I think you guys have, is it 100 million tokens?
Yeah.
100 million tokens. Okay. So talk to us real quick about how that's all going to work as far as the tokenomics. I think you can only get those on Uniswap, right?
Yeah, right now, everything's just on Uniswap. Because of our vesting contracts going forwards and the only that don't start releasing till later, that information will be out today, the 31st. So that'll be up. That'll be up on our Twitter and stuff. We'll be posting a graphic later, but it is a linear model. Every 6 months or so, it changes slightly, but going up to 80 million tokens, and then the last 20 million are for node rewards. So that'll be over a 5-year period.
Staying for the long haul. And then as far as Uniswap, Damon, is there any other place that you guys are in talks to? Because I hate the gas fees. I hate the gas fees in Uniswap.
We hate the gas fees too, and I was getting there. And I mean, that's another reason we're trying to build on Cardano. I think, like anybody else, really, is to try and reduce those. But right now, the only other listing that's talked about, they said they're going to list us is Gate.io. Now, the only problems that we have in going towards other things is we don't have those tokens to provide liquidity to other exchanges at the moment, right? So
Yeah.
if we can manage to get those, say, from our LP farming events with CSwap, once that ends through CardStarter, then we could potentially use that towards listing on other exchanges.
Got you. So is it on Gate.io right now, or you're waiting for what you just talked
We're
about,
we're
liquidity
just
providers?
talking. They just contacted us the other day, so we're just in
Oh,
talks about doing that. But Gate.io is good. We're looking at I think it's a newer project called Zero Swap the other day, which
like,
say that they have nothing, like no gas fees, but I'm not so sure about that.
so we had an interview with the guys over at Zero Exchange, and what's great about Zero
Hmm.
Exchange is that they allow you to go in there. They give you a little bit of Avalanche in
Hmm.
your account, so you can buy more Avalanche. So you because the fees are like ridiculously low.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great. I mean, that's a perfect tie-in. All right, so I'll
Yeah.
wait till you guys get on Zero. This is awesome.
Yeah, we're talking about it. And then the other thing with gas fees, because we hate them so much, you can track when gas fees are the lowest and highest during different points of the day. For us in the
Yeah.
North American area, right, the gas fees are actually quite low between the hours of like 2 to 5 in the morning, like sometimes under $10, but like during the day up to 100, right? So just it's really easy to try and strategically point that out and get your buys on any project, right, when the gas fees are the lowest, because that makes it easier for the retail investor, to get into any project, including our own.
Perfect. So everybody watching at home, if you're in the United States, North America, Canada, somewhere around there, just so you know, wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and it'll save you a boatload of money. So just do that.
Yeah.
And then, Damon, talk to us real quick about the token migration process, because right now we can't, we can't have it on Cardano. It sounds like there's going to be a token swap at some point. So just real
Yeah.
quick, tell us what's that going to look like, and maybe a time frame. I don't know if you can even talk about that.
Sure. Time frame as far as our swap over is dictated by CardStarter at the moment. So they are creating a bridge for all of their projects, all their IDO projects, the going forwards, to have an instant swap through them straight over to Cardano mainnet.
Nice.
So that's how that's going to work. They're building that, and it will happen as soon as mainnet goes live. Like that's obviously the goal at the moment. So we're going to be bridging through CardStarter as a community, as the like CardStarter type community, all those IDOs together, and we will have at that point, because we're all building together to begin with, we should have all of that data integrated instantly right off the bat, so we can all get to work straight away as soon as mainnet launches.
Oh, that sounds so easy. I got to get
Yeah,
those. And hey, thanks for introducing me to those guys, Card Starter. I'll have them on the show soon, so they can
yeah.
explain more so about all that. All
Oh,
right,
they got it all. Yeah.
they got it all. And then lastly, our last question. This will be for a little bit more technical, because I had this question when we were going through the actual information part of the Charlie website. So as far
Right.
as our features, you got 4 parts here. I need to have you break it down for everybody, especially, well, me, especially. Insured node consensus, aggressive node reputation, trustless data feed network, and easily accessible for ADA-based projects. What are we talking about here, Damon?
Sure, I'll get right to it. So these answers are coming straight from CTO Jonas to try and give you guys the best possible understanding of what these mean. So our insured node consensus is that it's making sure that each node that's participating in our network as a provider has to stake some Charlie 3 as a requirement for participating with that node. And if a node's found to be incorrect in its information and its data providing, or it's misbehaving in other ways,
Yeah.
part of that stake might be slashed or gotten rid of as a punishment towards those misbehaving nodes and that wrong information. So
Perfect.
that's why it's insured that way, to make sure that people are providing the correct data towards us, so they're not losing out on their investments as well. The aggressive node reputation. So when weighing the answers of individual Oracle nodes and nodes with established reputations that people think are good, they're given more credence than the new nodes without like any history to them.
Mhm.
So that's where we're going on that one.
Got it.
With the trustless data feed network, right? Each data feed produces an answer by considering the answers from multiple Oracle participants. That way, an answer can be backed up by several individual nodes, and a decentralized answer can be reached without having to rely on like any single node. So it's a group kind of activity on that way. So just to make sure that it's having that validity in our final answers and data providing.
Got it.
The easy accessible for database projects. So we're a Cardano chain Oracle. That's what we're building towards. Will be available on the testnet as well during the Cardano testnet, like whenever that's functioning. We're in talks with the Cardano Foundation this week and IOHK to figure out how that's actually going to be shaping up. And yeah, so on that one, we hope to, because of that, right, we want to be available on the first day, like I talked to you about before, when we swap over, right? Everything's connected already, and we're ready to go, understanding those systems perfectly, and already integrated with everything.
Sounds good. So no single points of failure, a lot of different backups, a lot of making sure that these people are actually good actors and not doing the wrong things, which will lead to more decentralization and then a little bit more trust and hopefully a great project. Gotcha. All right, Damon, thanks for answering all of my questions. I'm sure we'll have you back on as time moves forward, because we want to see exactly what's happening with the project. But before we leave, any last words of wisdom from Charlie and the group?
Last words of wisdom, guys, to me is just that this space is crazy, it's volatile, and I think having friends in the space is a really good idea, right? This idea of community going forwards with all our projects, I think is really important to have support in here so we don't get too emotional. So yeah, find some buddies, make it fun. That's what I liked about this space. Just make it fun, guys.
Look, to me, it's like this. We really, in the crypto space, we're really like a family. Sometimes you don't get along with your brother and sister, but when push comes to shove, you got to back them up. All right, Damon, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it. We'll have you back soon.
Thanks a lot, Rob. See you later.
All right, so I hope that made a lot of sense. I want to thank Damon for coming on and interviewing. That was great. So we can put a face to a project, that I think is always great for trust. And again, for this project, I will be buying into Charlie. I will be a holder of Charlie, and probably a long-term holder, because I believe in the long-term function and vision of Cardano. So if you like that video, first of all, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. A lot of things that we talk about here on this channel are more of the advanced things and new projects. If you want to find out more about news and the daily happenings, take a look at digital asset news. Also, if you liked this video, consider sharing it with other people who you think might have an interest in the Charlie project. So that's it for today. Thanks so much for being with us. See you on the next one.